Alright guys, welcome to my channel. This is Crypto Tyke. I am the inflation avoider, and in this vid I'm going to be talking about Kaspa. And is it undervalued is the big question, and yes and no is probably the answer. If it's undervalued at the moment, only really by a few cents at most, but long term, is it undervalued? Well, yeah, it's definitely got a lot of potential, and for anybody who's willing to hold it for the next 5-10 years, there is big potential for upside. But at the moment, the problem is a lack of adoption, and also where Kaspa will fit in. It's all well and good talking about how great the technology is, the BlockDag, everything like that, and it being a proof of work and all the things that come with that. But it's not going to be institutional adoption that is likely to be what pushes the price for Kaspa, because institutions for stable coins and things like that, they are going to want something more centralized that they can control. They don't want decentralization. That's why banks are pushing back against stable coins, like the Bank of England, who want to get the government to make a law preventing people having more than £20,000 worth at any one time. And in America, where they've tried to get the government to prevent stable coins from offering interest. So institutions don't like competition, and they like to make the rules up. So more than likely, they're going to gravitate to centralized, more centralized systems, and maybe even creating their own equivalent. Now, that doesn't mean Kaspa is completely dead and it's useless, because there's still a lot of people, like myself included, who want decentralized options and decentralized stores of value. Obviously, Bitcoin is the obvious one, because it is that solid store of value that you can rely on. But when it comes to what it can do, obviously Kaspa offers a hell of a lot more for people. But adoption, even in terms of what it's being used for right now, is very low. And with the charging of 1,000 Kas to mint a coin, as I found out just yesterday when I was planning on minting my coin named after my kitten, well, it sort of holds a drawback to people who want to get on there and do something with Kaspa, and that is a big drawback at the moment. However, I understand why. You don't want any old crap on there, so you want to, it's like we've seen the floods of meme coins and rug pulls and everything like that on Solana, on Ethereum, and Kaspa doesn't necessarily want to rush into being like that. Although it could probably handle it, well, it could handle it. It definitely, I can understand the principle behind not wanting to just let anybody make any old meme coin and it just be spam, basically, in the end, that's on there, never to be used or anything done with it. So it does make sense. You want a quality product, you want it to be absolute quality, but this lack of adoption also is what means we're a long way off seeing that price give us life-changing returns, probably 5-10 years. So that means there's no massive rush to be buying Kaspa, and that's all I've said all along is, look, stop panicking, stop worrying. The price is going to be in and around where it is, or at least affordable, whether that be 25 cents, 50 cents, you still be able to afford it. And Kaspa, you'd hope, will one day get to $5, maybe $10. But there's a lot of things that have to happen for that to be the catalyst, and that is the problem I've got at the moment. It feels like inventing the jet engine before a car is even invented, let alone flight. And all you can do with that jet engine is just strap it to a horse, and what happens? All that happens is the horse dies, and then someone else comes along as well, and this would be how institutions are going to work. They'll come along, and throw enough money at it, somebody will create something similar to Kaspa that they can centralize and control. So Kaspa wouldn't be their choice, and that is often a reason you're going to see more liquidity and the price going up. And I don't think that is Kaspa's angle. That is more going to be for people who are fed up of fiat currency. And the slight drawback with that is that people like me, and I'm sure a lot of people who watch these videos, is that you go ask anybody in the streets and nobody will have a problem with their currency. They just see it as something they spend. They don't understand the bigger picture. And for some of Kaspa, you have to educate people, and educating people in reality is very near impossible because of what is already put in their heads from birth. You can't change an entire psychology. It just has to happen. And the question is that going to happen overnight? Is it going to just happen with a Coinbase listing or a Binance listing? The answer to that is no. There's a load of other coins I've heard of that they'll buy when you get to the, you know, the whole retail coming in at the higher vault season, before everything then goes back down after it pumps. And Kaspa this alt season might get a boost. It might go up 3x, 4x, 5x, maybe more, 10x at where it is. But it's not going to be out of reach for buying, because it'll tumble back down like everything else does. So you'll still be able to pick up more over time and accumulate enough to, when it does catch on, give life-changing money for you. But in the meantime, what I've been saying is, look, you're better off at the moment making profits on things like Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, that are most certainly going to make you money. And then when everything comes down in the bear market, rotate that into buying more Kaspa while it's at a cheap price. Now, obviously, at the moment, it's at a pretty good price, you know. So, yeah, of course, there's nothing wrong with buying Kaspa now. This is a really pretty good time to do it. Is the chance for it to come down a bit more? Well, we'll see what pans out, actually, tonight, because with what's going on in America, it is expected to have a noticeable impact on prices. So that could either be down or up. I'm not sure which at this moment in time, but I have got in the back of my mind what I said about October, that it'd occur later in the month, not earlier in the month. And I don't know, could it be a push upwards we're about to see? So yeah, right now might be a good time to get some Kaspa. So I've never been saying it's shit or anything like that. I've just said those people who are FOMOing into it all the time are massively misguided, because they just see the technology and they'll argue, oh, look at the technology, how great the technology is. And it's like, yeah, but technology is nothing without adoption. It needs adoption. And at the moment, there isn't much adoption. And what I am planning on doing, and I'm still going to do it anyway, because I recognise a kind of opportunity now. Now it's a thousand Kaspa to mint my planned meme coin, that actually those prices put off a lot of other people. So it's a good time to actually mint one, because we might be able to develop something quite good over time that would be a really nice community coin. Now, I'm not planning on pushing it on anybody. I'm just going to use it to be able to test Kaspa out and do these series that I have mentioned before, and take it from there and see what Kaspa has to offer as time goes along, like things like liquidity pools, hopefully liquidity farms in time, and how coins work, and help explain to people better how the whole system, the ecosystem of crypto as well as Kaspa works, just to make it more understandable, hopefully for casual viewers who might pop by and want to know what all this crypto is about. Well, it might help them understand, well, this is why we choose crypto. This is why people like you and me are in crypto because we know it's the future. We understand that this is a technology that has so many uses, and Kaspa has its place in that as well. In fact, it has a very good place, including its own scarcity factor as well. It might not be 21 million like Bitcoin, but it's still a limited supply, and it does have a scarcity value. So as it grows, you will start to see a kind of I've forgotten the word for it now. I'm good at forgetting words, but it will start to grow and snowball, and that is what we'll see happening. But it's not going to happen overnight. That is all I've been saying. And I do suspect some of the people who are banging on about the technology and how great it is are failing to understand that how big the hill is. It still needs to climb to get where it can get. So I'm accumulating, and I'll keep accumulating Kaspa, but what I'll be doing is accumulating it still every time there's a dip, rather than just DCAing in each month or each week or anything like that. What I'm going to be doing is picking up big amounts when it's cheap, and then not buying when it's over a certain price. And that's the approach. It's a diamond hand approach, and that's what my sort of strategy is with crypto. And it is so far, so touching wood, is serving me well, and I think long term it will serve me well as well. So I am not down on Kaspa at all. I am, the Binance listing, if it happens, when it happens, eventually it will, I'm sure, Coinbase, that will then see an inflow of new people exposed to seeing Kaspa. And even just from a eye-catching point of view, the design of the coin will catch people's eye, not just the whole technology, because your average Joe ain't going to know about the technology and understand that fully. They're going to see something attractive and interesting, and hopefully the narrative then will be able to kick in about what it is and what purpose it has, and more people will start talking about it. And I look forward to the day when I'm hearing people on the streets talking about Kaspa like they do about Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, things like that. And that'll be music to my ears. It'll be fantastic, because that is why I'm in Kaspa for the long term. I am going to take some profits on it, obviously, if it does manage to make some ground in this alt season, because naturally there's going to be a retracement in the bear market, so I'm going to be able to pick up even more by just selling it and buying back when it is at its lowest. So that's not that. Am I going to sell all of it? No, I am certainly not. I am always going to hold some in reserve, and that'll still be a significant number. But institutions unlikely to use Kaspa. It's going to be normal people, and I don't know how far the word's going to spread about how flaky our fiat currency actually is. Hopefully more and more people will start to understand that, and one day it'll become a talking point that everybody talks about. And it could get there one day, I don't know, as crypto grows and more people are interested and wanting to get involved. And that would again see Kaspa really benefit, and hopefully then by then we'll see more usage on there. There's going to be more adoption. Hopefully many companies will adopt it, and it will be used for payments and things like that. But I just can't see it on an institutional level, because institutions, this decentralized thing, I think it's a double-edged sword. People love crypto because of decentralization. That's why we buy Bitcoin, and it's a massive thing. However, I mean, it gives us our own autonomy. We're not tied to a bank, we're not tied to a country, and that's why nations, and especially the UK, are very slow on the uptake with crypto, and are trying to make it as hard as possible for people like myself and other people in the UK to buy crypto or hold it. And that is why nations and institutions would look to more centralized crypto as their choice for stable coins and turning their own currency into, crypto. So stable coins. So it's like it's decentralization now, as crypto progresses, will not be the be all and end all like it used to be, and it's worthwhile putting money into ones that are also centralized, because they're going to push up in price a lot as well, because they have that institutional backing and that might to be able to go in big and make something succeed and force it to succeed. And that's just how it works with wealth. You throw enough money at it, it's going to succeed. And that it leads to a whole other load of things as well. It's not just blindly throwing money at it, it's strategically throwing money at it. So this is why I say, do not have your entire portfolio in Kaspa, because we are hoping for certain things to happen over the years. There's no guarantees it's still priced as it is, because it is a risk. But it has the most potential upside, probably more than anything else there is. But the keyword is also potential. And maybe some institutions might adopt it and find uses for it. That'd be really good. That'd help with the price and people knowing what it is and just understand it, just having exposure to Kaspa. But at the same time, we have to be prepared to put in a long wait for it. And if you've got all your portfolio in Kaspa, that is dead money for the time being, for a length of time where you could have been making more money in the interim and bought back just as much Kaspa as you've probably already got, if not a ton more, because that's how it works. You make profits and you rotate those profits, and that's all I do. Simple as that. And it's allowed me to buy more Kaspa than I would have been able to had I not done that. It's that simple. And that's all my argument's really been. You don't have to go into all the technical details of it. I understand what it is and the potential and what its capabilities are, but I also understand how economics works, and it's going to take a bit of time, especially doing anything organically. Takes time. It doesn't just suddenly go mental. So there's plenty of time for building your Kaspa stack, and don't worry, pick and choose your times of when there are dips. There will inevitably be dips. There's possibly more to come for the dip with Kaspa, but it's a good price as it is now. So I'm not knocking anybody who's buying it at this price, because I've did another buy myself at this price, so I'm not too fussed. But I want to now put it to the test on my channel. The 1,000 Kaspa was a little bit more than I was expecting to have to pay to create a coin, to show you guys how to do it, and I'm sure that'll put off a lot of people wanting to do it, but I think that's intended. But at some point that price would come down, I would imagine, and that will allow more and more people to feel it is accessible, and that will then mean the use cases will be more for Kaspa, more going on in the ecosystem. And like I said, I will be doing that video. I don't want to part with 1,000 Kaspa that easy. I like Kaspa. I want to have as much as possible, and 1,000 Kaspa, parting with that to create a community coin just to show you guys, is a lot of money. It's a big investment, because we know what Kaspa could become. So why would I want to spend 1,000 just to? It's not even liquidity. It's just to make the coin, just to create it, and that is off-putting, and it has pissed me off a little bit. But at the same time, there's a part of my head that goes, it does mean there's an opportunity of being an early adopter. So if I get mine on early, there's more chance of it actually succeeding when everything else succeeds, because I've gone, I'm going to have to bite the bullet and pay the 1,000 Kas. So there is that benefit as well. So I think I will still go ahead with creating this meme coin that I'm naming after my kitten, and I will share that with you when I do the tutorial. And that is about it anyway. I'm going to leave it there. If you haven't already subscribed, do subscribe, because I'm going to be doing more things with the Kaspa ecosystem and showing you a few tutorials. So if you wanted to do the same yourself, you could. And also tracking Kaspa over time, as well as other crypto, and talking about ways of avoiding inflation and not being ripped off with your own fiat currency, whether that be the pound, the dollar, or whatever. It's best to put your money to good use rather than just have it sat in a bank. Not financial advice, of course, and I'm not a financial advisor, it's just my opinion. Anyway, guys, hit the like button because it makes all the difference to the videos. It really does help with views. And also leave a comment. Let me know whether you're buying Kaspa, whether you want to get involved with the ecosystem as well. Let me know down in the comments. Maybe you already are. I don't know. So I'd love to hear about it and what your experiences have been. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you later. Bye-bye.